please don't expect a song. MBDA Board Chairperson, Ms. Glenda Carmel, the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Anele Kaba. I laughed this morning when I was introduced to him by the chairperson. The chairperson didn't know that we know each other. Made me think like your ex introducing you, your friend introducing you to a girl you used to date or something like that. Now the two of you must act like you don't know each other, like, pleased to meet you. I've worked with Daniel for a very long time. He has taught me many things about the city. The chairperson of the South End Museum, Ms. Valentine Brink, Deputy Executive Mayor, Mr. Gary van Niekerk. They always say I've got a soft spot for, in my political home, they're like, you got such a soft spot for Gary. And I said, no, I don't. But this morning, I'm sure I do. Because we were arriving here. So Gary's always very, don't mess with the hair. The hair. So there was two seats open. One that was in the sun, and then one that was in the shade. So as a minister, I can choose anyone. But I was thinking, I don't know what Gary spread. And the sun reaching that hair. So today I must confess, Bradley, I do have a soft spot for because I was like, I'm not going to have a fire happening here. You know? Yeah. Yeah. It made me think many years ago, Gary, Deputy Mayor, when we were still very naughty being gangsters when we grew up. So there was something that Dr. Kumalo, the soccer player, that I'm trying to explain to white people because everybody else will understand what I'm talking about. It was called the perm. So every black and colored person here knows what's the perm. So the perm is you go in there, if you have hair that needs assistance like mine, you go for a perm. And you get there, they will take all sorts of chemicals and put it on your hair. But there's a certain time. Those chemicals must only be on your head for like 10 minutes. After that, it's like hell on your head. And they must wash it. So some of the men here mustn't act like they've not done the perm. So while we as gangsters were busy there with the perm, halfway through, the police came and they were looking for us. And we started to run. And this policeman that was chasing me, very fit, he couldn't find me. And he was chasing me, and he couldn't find me. And I left him behind. After arresting me, after 2 weeks, he asked me, I never knew you that fast. He says, I'm the record holder, I was the record holder at my school, and you beat me. I don't want to tell you, my head was burning, I was running. I was looking for water while he was looking for me. MMC, you are one of my favorite people in the province. You're always so full of life. You represent who you are. You are always beautifully dressed. Isn't she beautifully dressed today? Thank you. The ward councillor, Ms. Terry Stander, you are welcomed. Goeiemorgen, Molweni, good morning. It's a great honor and a privilege for me to stand before you today to officiate the official opening of the remarkable place, St. Peter's Rainbow Village, whose poignant story you've heard from Mr. Haynes when he stood here, captures with precision the very essence of restoration, redress, and social cohesion. The story of the St. Peter's Rainbow Village is not just about a place. It's about the enduring spirit of a people, about the resilience in the face of adversity, and about the power of collective memory to unite generations under different layers of time. It forms part of our country's rich tapestry, reminding us of both painful chapters, very painful chapters, of our past and our enduring hope for a more inclusive future built on the values of Ubuntu. Ubuntu, as you know, calls upon us to recognize and affirm one another's humanity. It teaches us that our very being is bound up with others. For we are who we are because of the humanity of those around us. In simple terms, it means I am because you are. Motu ki motu, kabat. St. Peter's Church, I'm not going to tell you the history. You know the history, and it was captured here this morning. But it was a painful past and a chapter under the Group Areas Act. Now people talk about forced removals as if it was just an event. It was not just an event. Forced removals, and I want to capture a story about forced removals that you must understand. What forced removals, the repercussions of removing people forcefully from what they know. In the Western Cape, a family came home one day and they found their furniture being outside and they were all forcefully removed. And the whole family, the family had 2 boys. And those 2 boys were moved to a place called Menenberg. Forcibly removed. Those boys was ordinary kids, like most of us that plays football and rugby. Those 2 boys was taken to Menenberg. And they only knew District 6. When they got to Menenberg, they found other boys there that were also forcibly removed. And they started a gang called the Hard Livings. The Hard Livings became one of the most deadliest gangs in South Africa, in the world. The brothers I'm talking about is Rashid and Rashad Staghi. One of the biggest gangsters this country's ever seen. Now I'm not excusing nobody's behavior, but I want to show you when you remove people forcibly, it's not only the removal. There's repercussions generations after generation. The deputy mayor's parents were removed, the grandparents. Not everybody's story has turned out like his story. We still today are having 3,000 kids, young men being killed on the Western Cape alone a year. 3,000. Those are the ones I stand for, because they voted for me, and they voted for you. In Shorter, in Galvandale, you might not read about it, but some of those young people there, or some of the young men there, or the adults there, their story didn't work out like the story of the deputy mayor. Now, I'm mentioning that to you, and I'm using those examples to tell you how beautiful it is what's happening here today. How needed it is. We're giving aspirin to the pain. And we turned something very ugly into hope. You know, the power of hope is what brought all the museums here today, like Southend. A people believed that we can be better. And museums play an important part to make sure never again. To remind us what happens when a people lose their way. And that's why I want to thank each and everyone that played a role in what we are celebrating today. We've turned the pain into champagne. That's what we've done. And nobody should feel guilty, or nobody should make people feel guilty. The human spirit is the most wonderful thing ever. It rises above adversity. It sometimes forgives the unforgivable. But we as a people, you know, I tell you a funny story about trust and working together. I don't know, did President Ramaphosa play a joke on us? But when I walked into my first GNU meeting, I was seated next to John Steenhuisen. And we didn't talk to each other. And the next day, I thought I must go early so I can sit far away from him. Upon arriving there, I was told, no, Minister, this is the seat you're going to sit. If you are here for 5 years, you're going to sit for 5 years. And I thought, I'm going to sit next to this man that said all the bad things about me, and I said all the bad things about him. So we were not speaking. But one day I was so hungry, and he was busy eating biltong under the table. And the president was speaking. And I thought, today is my day that I'm going to pimp you. I'm going to lift my hand up and I'm going to say, President, the minister is busy eating while you're speaking. But my hunger overpowered the hate. So I stretched my hand out, not for peace, but for biltong. And he gave me biltong. Before I ate, I first wanted to make sure he's eating. Fast forward, we get our first overseas trip together to Japan. And Minister Gwede Mantashe was supposed to present on mining. And the Deputy President, President Paul Mashatile, says, the Deputy Minister, the Minister can't make it, Minister Mantashe. I said, President, I know a lot about mining, I can do that presentation. He says, thank you. And that was like the main presentation. But I got sick, it was flu. It wasn't the normal flu. Got very sick. Now I can't tell the Deputy President I'm no longer doing this. So I went to the chemist in Japan. The man doesn't know a word English. Worse than that, he doesn't understand sign language. Street sign language. Street sign language. I go like, oh. He starts laughing, he doesn't understand. I'm like, how did this stupid man become a chemist? I've done every sign that a sick person can do, MMC, every sign. This man didn't understand, he's like, I realized if I don't live here, I might live with birth control tablets instead of flu tablets. So I got in the hotel. Deputy Mayor, as I walk in the hotel, I meet John Steenhuisen. And he says to me, you don't look well at all. I said, I'm very sick. He says, wait right here. Don't move. He goes to his room. He comes with half a packet of medication. I thought, nice try. You're not going to get rid of me so easily. As he's giving me the medication, I said, thank you, with no intention of taking it. Get to my room, I put the medication down, and I'm thinking I'm just going to sleep and pray and hope for the best. I couldn't even sleep. So I come, I look at the medication, take out my phone, I take a picture. I take a picture of the medication and I send to my partner. I said to her, if I don't wake up tomorrow morning, John Steenhuisen gave me this. They must go check the video of the hotel. I received this from him. I'm going to try it. And I'm drinking all these tablets. When I woke up, I was knocked out. I woke up next morning, I felt like $1 million. I was happy. And I took my phone to say thank you. And I got a message of my partner. And she said, baby, don't drink those tablets. Please, whatever you do. I said to her, Johnny's a good guy, don't worry. I'm still alive. So why am I sharing that with you? I'm sharing that with you for two reasons. To say that our future should not be judged by your political party. Our future is a shared future. There's no South Africa if it doesn't include all the races. We make a meme team, the different races. Don't be bothered by the things that you are saying, that you are reading about in the paper about the GNU. The GNU is about to fall. Every time when there's some, then you hear and read. That is just nonsense. The GNU is going nowhere. The GNU is the future of South Africa. We will lie to you as politicians, say to you, the next election, we will not be part of a GNU. We are stuck. As I'm stuck sitting next to George Steenhuisen, we are stuck with the GNU. On a serious note, this is a beautiful city. This is one of the most beautiful cities that you can get. But we must be honest. This city can be so much more than what it is today. And all the political leaders, including the leaders of the party I belong to, you truly need to pull up your socks. You are sitting with a jewel here. Big events don't come here anymore. You know, the city, parts of this city resembles a ghost town. And we must fix that. Transnet, when I was the mayor of Central Karoo, Transnet, we had the same problem that you're having here. I went to the highest echelons in Transnet and I said, we want to take over these buildings right now. Transnet didn't have a problem with it. And my advice to you is, go and speak to Transnet. Because the buildings, some of the buildings make your city look very ugly. And that is not how this friendly city should be. My message to you is, bring events here. Make the city lively again. The museums, MMC, museums are the most important part of us living today. If you need money, if you have problems, write to us. Explain to us, this museum needs help. We need to do this. Robben Island Museum. My first visit as a minister to any museum was Robben Island. I've been there previously, but as a tourist. But I went as a minister. And I wanted coffee. And they said, we don't know who's the lady here that makes the coffee, in some tent. I couldn't use my phone. The president was looking for me. He couldn't find me or my protectors because of the network problems. When you've seen Mandela Cell, what more was there to see? You go there, you must be stuck there for 3 hours. And I said, not under my watch. This Friday, we are reopening. We closed Nelson, we closed Robben Island. Is reopening because of the 24 trips that goes to Robben Island. Only 16 get there because of weather conditions. Robben Island this week there will be statues, new statues of Mandela, of Robert Sobukwe, of Toivo, the Namibian leader, of Harry the Strandloper, and of Krotua. There will be a short walk of freedom. There will be a nameplate, and we will honor with medals everyone that was on Robben Island that's still alive. We will have a function to say thank you to them for our freedom. Now I'm mentioning this because South End Museum has done something remarkable. They were not originally happy with this concept, but for the sake of history, for the sake of social cohesion, they supported us. And that is what we are about. And to the people of South End Museum, if there's anything that I can do as the National Minister to make, because I can already see the thinking of the people of South End Museum. They believe in the more the merrier. They believe in shared visions. And can we give South End Museum a great round of applause? Most importantly, hockey was spoken about here. I was beaming with pride because people think sport is only for 90 minutes. Sports last a lifetime. The honorable lady that spoke so passionately here, she speaks like a person like the hockey game is about to start. And she spoke about decades ago. She gave her age away, not us. But that is what sport does. Sports unite us. I remember when Nelson Mandela came back and the Youth League of the ANC then was telling Nelson Mandela, we don't want the name Springboks. I remember one of my friends was a guy called Kebi Mapatsoe. He was the president of the Mkonto Wesizwe military veterans. And Kebi told me something, I was very close to Kebi. I still must confirm that story. Kebi was very close to me. Kebi Mapatsoe came back and he was against the name Springboks. And we were all against the name, including myself. And I remember Kebi came back, he went to see Mandela, called him, and he came back and he changed, and he was now the biggest proponent for the name, that the Springbok name should remain. And one day he told me, I said, did he convince you? It was argument. He says, no. He boxed me. I said, Mandela boxed you. He says, because I've got one head. He says, if you don't believe me, we must have a boxing match. And Kebi agreed to the name change because he wanted to fight the great Mandela in a boxing match. That's what Kebi told me. But look, fast forward 30 years. The very name that divided us is the very name that unites us today. Nothing unites us like the Springboks. We are here today. The very thing that hurt us, that filled us with shame, is the very thing that filled us with pride today and that unites us. There's people of all races here, different religions. Who would have thought? But you know why? Because we are South Africans. The time has come for South Africans to understand who they are. We are the best nation in the world. We must never be told there's no nation better than South Africa. Let me tell you, we are the greatest sporting nation. We are the best in rugby. We are the best in cricket. We are the best. We've got the strongest women in the world. We've got the strongest men in the world. We are African champions. Our under-20 last night, they went to the World Cup. They are the African champions. My message to you today is you must change your mindset as South Africans. Get out of this negative waiting for politicians. Come with ideas. Stop this thing where you think We are who the newspapers say we are. We are not who the newspapers say we are. We are the children of Nelson Mandela. Last year, when I was appointed, I said, we're going to bring, my term will be a failure if I don't bring F1. The people in my team went mad. How dare you say that? You just committed this. I said, I believe in the people of this country and I believe in this country. Fast forward, we are 96% there to get F1. We are 96% to get it. We are going to apply for the Olympics, to bring the Olympics here. For the first time in 100 years, you'll come to Africa in 2036. We are bringing Live Golf to South Africa for the first time to Africa. I'm mentioning all of this. We've got the G20 presidency. For the first time, an African man is the president of G20, President Cyril Ramaphosa. And that's something we should all be proud of. Whether I'm not a member of the ANC, but he's my president. And if he achieves, the country achieves. Can we give the president a great hand of applause? We mustn't put politics in front of processes that can advance the well-being of a nation. So in conclusion, I met with the MBDA this morning. I met with the politicians this morning. It wasn't a pretty meeting. I told them what I think somebody needs to tell them. Because I know the caliber of people I was speaking to. I know the caliber of people. I know things will change. You look at other cities, there are hype of activities. We need to make sure Nelson Mandela takes his rightful place. Nelson Mandela Bay should take his rightful place. And that's my challenge to you. And if I can help you, please speak to me. Big events must happen here. One event that came to the city of Joburg, one event, created 6,000 temporary jobs. There was no hotel you could book in the city of Joburg. In Gauteng, you couldn't find a hotel. Garages ran out of fuel. This city is hungry for big events. I'm talking from experience. We had a big event here, a political one. The people will tell you they ran out of cold drinks. So I'm mentioning it to you to say you've got a beautiful stadium here. We've got beautiful people. Let us put pressure on our politicians, put pressure on us. So there must be events here. There must be cultural events here. There must be international museum in Davos should happen here. So MMC, please, let us make sure we bring events here. This place, culturally and sports-wise, is busy dying. You've just lost the biggest game in history. For what? It's not right. And somebody must answer, why is that? Why is it that the people of the city didn't stand up to fight for the game, the last game of Bafana Bafana that was supposed to be here? Why did it leave? And I don't know really for sure where it's going to, but for me, I know the talent of this city. Artists that come from this city, the best singers. I mean, there's a singer right here. She should leave politics and just go and come and represent South Africa on the world stage. Did you hear that angelic voice? And you know what is the nice thing about being a minister? You have some powers that more than the MMC. So the power vested in me. I'm the minister of happiness. I'm the minister that makes things happen. She must give us another song just to make sure, and it is an instruction. Come, MMC. The way you are one of the most dynamic MMCs in this country. Hey!